3 by-elections in one day on the eve of a federal election. To say the stakes are high is an understatement, especially for the NDP. The race that will be most closely watched is in BC, the riding of Burnaby South.
Well, my name is Jagmeet Singh. I'm the leader.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is pinning his political future on that riding. He never lived there before the election. He's actually from Toronto, but Singh has chosen to seek his first federal seat in the riding of 74,000 voters. The area has been orange since 2004, but in 2015, the NDP beat the Liberals by just 547 votes. And this year, the Liberal candidate is a familiar face to locals. Richard T. Lee is a 4-term BC MLA. It's not clear what will happen to Singh's leadership should he lose, but he's confident that won't happen.
We're working our hardest to make sure we connect with people and let them know that we're on their side and we're fighting for a better candidate.
The NDP also faces a big test in the Outremont by-election. That seat was vacated by former leader Tom Mulcair. It's one of 16 ridings held by the NDP in Quebec, its largest share provincially. Outremont could be a bellwether for the NDP. Lose it, and that could mean it's on course to fall out of Quebec. NDP candidate Julia Sanchez will try to hold on to the riding, which was a Liberal fortress before Mulcair came in. Speaking of strongholds, York Simcoe in Ontario is up for grabs. Conservative MP Peter Van Loan held it from 2004 up until his retirement last year. And Scott Davidson will look to pick up the torch. If there's one safe bet, it's probably this riding. Andrew Scheer's Conservatives are polling strong, and the riding itself has been 20 points more conservative than the country as a whole over the last 3 elections. Eric Grenier is the CBC's polls analyst, and he joins me now. Hi, Eric.
Hi,
so let's talk preview of Monday night. 3 big by-elections. Probably the one where the stakes are the highest is in BC, Burnaby South. Of course, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh is running.
That's right. The stakes are really high for him because his leadership is really riding on the voters in Burnaby South. So this is in the Vancouver area, this seat right here that has voted for the New Democrats now since 2004. Now that seat is one that, as I said, has this NDP history. It also has a history of voting in parachuted leaders. Tommy Douglas actually won this seat in 1962 for the NDP when he needed a riding. So Jagmeet Singh is hoping that the voters in Burnaby South will pay him the same courtesy they did to Tommy Douglas. But what we're going to be watching here is not only if Singh is able to win the seat, because there are expectations that with all the work and the resources that they put into this campaign that he should be able to secure it. It's whether he's going to win by a thin margin, which is what was the case in 2015, or whether he'll be able to win it more comfortably. Because the NDP needs to show some sign that they are able to get their voters, their supporters out to the polls, because they haven't had a lot of wins lately. They're sinking in the polls nationwide at about 14% right now, which would be the worst since 2000. We haven't seen a lot of good fundraising numbers for the New Democrats. So Jagmeet Singh needs to post a win, needs to show that he has brought voters back and that the NDP has something to look forward to over the next few months.
Do the polls indicate there that he will post a decisive win?
Well, we haven't seen any poll numbers out of Burnaby South now for several weeks. The last numbers we saw were actually before the Liberal candidate was replaced by Richard Lee. So we don't really know what's happening in the riding itself. But we have seen in British Columbia that the New Democrats have been losing some support. So maybe that will put a damper a little bit on Singh's potential there. But again, we don't know exactly what is happening in the riding. So we'll have to wait and find out what the results will be on Monday night.
All right, let's move a few provinces east to Quebec. Outremont, the former NDP leader, Tom Mulcair's old riding.
That's right. So it's on the island of Montreal, and it's part of this area of the province that has voted for the New Democrats now for a little while in the last few elections, and also for Quebec Solidaire, provincial party that is a left-wing party. It's this seat right here in the center of Island Montreal, and actually not too far from the SNC-Lavalin headquarters. So there is a little bit of some synergy there with that issue. But it is really important for the NDP to put up some strong numbers, because this is where the orange wave started in 2007 when Tom Mulcair won the seat in a by-election. There's not a lot of expectations that the NDP will be able to hold the seat. Their polling in Quebec has sunk to single digits, to a kind of level that you would not expect them to win any seat in Quebec, let alone Outremont, which has a history as a Liberal riding. So really it's more about seeing, first of all, how strong the Liberal result will be, if they will win by a comfortable margin or if it'll be a closer race. And if the NDP is able to put up some good result, if they can get over 20, 25%, then it shows that they still have some residual strength in the province. They still have a base of supporters. Because even back before they had the breakthrough under Tom Mulcair, this is the kind of riding they could expect a double-digit result in the 10 to 15% range. So they really need to show that they still have some strength, they still have some appeal, and if they get a good candidate like they do in Julia Sanchez for the NDP, that they can put up some strong numbers, be competitive. Because for the New Democrats, they've lost a few incumbents now from NDP MP incumbents who have said they're not going to be running again.
Yeah, more than a few, yeah.
They need to show that if you want to run for the NDP, you have a chance of winning. And so they need to show some strong results in Outremont, even if they don't hold on to the seat.
Okay, what about Ontario, York Simcoe?
York Simcoe is maybe the one that has the least of interest because it is a conservative stronghold. Not a lot of expectations that we'll see a different result. So it's this riding up just right here, just north of Toronto and the GTA. But what's actually interesting about it, if you look at in 2011, this whole area voted for the Conservatives. But when you look in 2015, the Liberal gains went just to the borders of York Simcoe. So it is an important riding for the Conservatives that they want to show some strong results. What I'll be watching there is the performance of Maxime Bernier's People's Party. Because this is the kind of seat where if you are a voter that's a Conservative, maybe you might give that party a chance. And if we see that the People's Party candidate is able to get 5–10% of the vote, that would be very bad news for Andrew Scheer because they're looking to win a lot of these red seats in the GTA. But if Maxime Bernier's candidates are taking a portion of that vote, it's going to be hard to swing those seats.
So interesting. We'll be watching.
Yes, we
Thank
will.
you, Eric.